The president says everybody can get a vaccine by late May, announcing there'll be enough vaccine to cover all U.S. adults. That's exciting. So when will we return to some kind of normal? When will people leave the house without worrying about getting COVID or infecting others? When can you go safely to a ball game or a concert, as Nicole Wallace and I were just discussing? Well, there are actually clues from around the world. We often compare death rates, where the U.S. does the worst. You can see the difference between the U.S. and China with our high death rate. But there are other positive metrics that can also show some of the way out of all this. Countries that are beating COVID with safety measures, vaccine rollouts, and comprehensive ways to manage what happens after the public is vaccinated. Indeed, Dr. Fauci singled out one country as a leader.
Israel is rolling out the COVID vaccine far more quickly and efficiently than any other nation by far.
No country is vaccinating its people faster than Israel.
In Israel, they are months ahead of us. 50% of everyone over age 16 has had a shot.
When you look at the amount of vaccinations per 100 people, namely how many vaccinations were given per 100 people, Israel is way up there.
Way up there. Israel now has the record for fastest vaccination campaigns across the world. 9 out of 10 seniors vaccinated, over half the population has at least a dose. And some of the reasons may not be replicable. A small country of under 9 million people is a bit more like managing a state. Indeed, it's about the size and population of New Jersey, as opposed to a giant sprawling nation like U.S. or China. But in other ways, looking at a leading country like Israel can be like having a bit of a policy time machine to see into our own future and what happens when vaccine rates improve and the decisions that may be coming our way. We know Israel started around the same time as the U.S. First shots came about 5 days after America's, seen on camera right here with their prime minister, Netanyahu, and here in the U.S., a nurse in New York. Soon Israel leapt ahead, though, of most countries, including the U.S. 90% of Israelis over 50 have received both needed shots for vaccinations. Over half of the country has at least one dose. Compare that to about 15% in the U.S. Israel is a country with universal health care and near universal military conscription. It is safety-oriented. It's pushed hard for people to get their shots. There are examples. They turned an IKEA showroom into a vaccination site. Some local governments tried to make the process more social, which is an interesting appeal in a time of so much social distancing, encouraging people there to go shot for shot.
Tel Aviv municipality did a cool idea where they call youngsters to do a vaccine in a bar, and thanks to that they give free beer.
Hey, whatever works. Also, it's happy hour somewhere, or whatever people say. Now, for where the virus is in America, we've seen these images of crowded markets or beaches that bring up concern about super spreaders. But Israel right now has crowds that do not, according to experts, bring the same risk. People walking into theaters and other indoor spots that the CDC warns would usually take more time than this. So think about it. How can they be doing this? Even with the high vaccination rate that I just reported, we still know that any other person could go into those places, could still spread COVID indoors. So what gives? Well, again, this is where we get a little bit of a trip into our possible future. The answer is vaccine passports. Safety experts say these are a critical tool, while others see it as a controversial form of government tracking. But this debate may be coming here. Let me explain. Israel using a green pass, which is kind of like an ID, to verify who's been fully vaccinated. So then you can have those scenes I just showed you of groups safely entering places like hotels, gyms, theaters, even concerts. It's basically a passport that Israel tells to the vaccinated, don't leave home without it.
Okay, so this is basically the green badge. I downloaded it from this app. I'm so happy I can go back to the gym right now.
The pass comes a week after you get your second shot, or it comes if you've recovered from COVID-19, providing the natural short-term immunity. Now, there are already trade-offs. Thousands apparently are trying to get forged green passes there, which raises major health concerns about the whole system, as well as the amount of risk any society would want to take on this kind of certification. Many Americans, as we've reported, have been protesting masks as an encroachment on liberty. Well, this fully digitized tracking system certainly demands more of you than just choosing when to voluntarily put on a mask. European human rights experts already raising alarm about the passes that could provide a lane for unlawful discrimination. Ethicists in Germany worry that creating this type of system encourages a new class of basically special people vaccinated with special privileges. Now, there are probably no completely easy answers here, but this is a country that's leaned into a robust government role, a national healthcare system, some robust and new regulation experimentation, plus these voluntary sacrifices to personal privacy to get towards a goal that, let's remember, a goal that brings us together in our so-called divided times, because so many people around the world, from the United States to China to Europe to Israel, want to reopen society so we can all return to many of the things that make most lives worth living. And as America follows this road under President Biden to wider vaccination, well, these are probably just some of the examples, models, and debates in store for us ahead.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.